All right, we're following some breaking news in the Kendrick Johnson case. This was the young man found dead in a rolled-up gym mat at his high school. Victor Blackwell, CNN correspondent who's been covering the story, joins me and Mike here. And this is a huge development involving a potential confession?
Yes, this is an email. Essentially, you go to the loungesheriff.com website and you click anonymous tip and you can send in the information. I have the message right here. I'm going to actually, for the first time, read portions of it. This writer, the sender, says that two students, we're not going to name them because no one has been named a suspect and they're minors, but it says these two students met KJ and killed him. And then it goes on to say that one of the students has been heard admitting to killing KJ more than once over the phone. Now, again, this person does not even claim to have heard the confession, him or herself. But it's big. This is a development because of all the tips and all the comments that have come in through that website, and we know there have been many because we have them, we requested them, this is the first time since the sheriff's office closed its investigation in May that it is actively looking into a tip.
So the sheriff's office is now looking at it. They're the ones closed case. This was an accidental death.
Yes.
Right?
Not the FBI.
Not the FBI. No.
Interesting.
This is the sheriff's office.
That's very big. Now, what steps are they taking now? First, they've got to figure out who sent the email, right?
Yes. Well, what they've done is they've asked the DA, J. David Miller, there in the Southern District of Georgia, to issue a subpoena, and they have to a communications company to get the sender's information, the address, the phone number, the service name, all of that to find out who sent the email. The second thing, this message came in on January 27th. On the 28th, of the 4 students who were named in this message, Lowndes County investigators went out to interview 2 of them. Now, the 2 students, they acknowledged they knew Kendrick Johnson, but they, of course, denied any involvement in his death.
Now, have these 2 names come up in the investigation before?
These 2 names have come up before.
Interesting.
Now, do they have lawyers, do we know?
We do not know if they have lawyers. There's no mention in the incident reports of attorneys being there, but there are members of the family there. Of course, when you're interviewing minors, you want the parents there, you want some guardian there. But we do know that the parents were there and they were interviewed. Now, there's no mention, there's no indication whether the investigators went to even try to speak with the other 2 students who were mentioned in the statement.
Now, but it also could be an investigative process. You know, they interview 2 and then wait to see what happens with the other 2, if there's any communication. So that's a good possibility of that, too.
And is there anything specific about the way in which they allege he was killed?
Well, there are specifics here, but we're not going to release those because we know this investigation continues. But there's one thing that I think is pretty important here, and Mike and I talked about this just before we came on air. You know, when we looked over the police reports from the original investigation, there were more than 100 interviews. Right. The lion's share of those happened 3 months after Kendrick Johnson was found dead in that mat. This happened the very next day. And I don't know if I can glean anything from that, but of all the tips that came in and all the ones that they, I guess, did not determine were credible, this they hit the very next day.
And how about Kendrick's parents? Their reaction to this?
Well, they're hopeful. I mean, they say that every time there's a new set of eyes on this case, that they're looking forward to a day that they get the justice they believe they deserve by someone being arrested. But Kendrick Johnson's father, Kenneth Johnson, told me they won't feel anything until there is an arrest. All this is good, and it brings them hope, but they want to see someone arrested for their son's death.
What's the bottom line you're taking from all this, Mike?
I think the investigation, this could possibly, if it's credible, move the investigation forward. And it's interesting, the Lowndes Sheriff's Department is handling this in a timely fashion, but also you've got the FBI who's also looking at this case, and maybe that's the impetus why they went ahead and did the interview the next day of at least 2 of them.
Yeah.